Hello, everyone. Jillian Robinson here, your General Assistant at Cup of Hemlock Theatre. And today we're going to be learning about my favorite film adaptation of a play. So the winner is, for me, drum roll, Romeo and Juliet, or Romeo plus Juliet, the 1996 adaptation of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. And this film was directed by Baz Luhrmann, screenwriters Craig Pearce and Baz Luhrmann. Now, information about when R&J first hit our stages. I can confidently say the late 16th century, but other than that, the year 1597 is in and around about as specific I can get. But how I came to this particular film adaptation of being my favorite iteration of Romeo and Juliet was through my sister. So my sister's 8 years older than I am. So around the time I was 6, 7, or 8, she was studying this in high school. And the film coming out in 1996, this was the new hot adaptation to show students to marry their knowledge with the play that they were learning in their English classes. And I just remember my sister watching it over and over and over again. She said it was for school. It probably had a little bit to do with the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio is the Romeo of this adaptation, but nevertheless, I ended up watching some of the scenes with her. And honestly, that was definitely a milestone for me of realizing I wanted to do this theater thing. I thought it was so cool that this rich old language can be placed in modern situations with these grandiose costumes and relatability, right? A lot of the actors in this adaptation, we would have seen Paul Rudd in Friends, or Claire Danes was doing a bunch of films around this time too. And I just thought it was so cool. Why this adaptation is a good one, in my opinion. I have said this many times in our reviews, but I am a huge fan of taking old texts and placing them in modern settings or tweaking them so that there is a little bit more of a modern flair put on them. And 1000% this adaptation does that, in my opinion. Alongside the text work, there's also an amazing bridge of music and poetry and physicality that this adaptation highlights. And because it's under the scope of Baz Luhrmann, the tweaking of pace and grandiose moments of high energy and high emotion, and then taking us down, the way he sort of manipulates the screen, I think plays a wonderful characteristic to this timeless tale. I think all these things packaged together in the explosive moments speaks to the language of love. And R&J is the one and only original love story, right? My favorite scene of this adaptation is super stereotypical. Again, adolescent Jill. My heart melted probably when this happened, but it's when Leonardo DiCaprio, our Romeo, and Claire Danes, our Juliet, see each other through the fish tank. Also, one of my favorite songs is playing in the background of that scene, I'm Kissing You by Desiree. And why this scene, I think, is my favorite and so important. It really is, right? It's the tale of two star-crossed lovers. And I think what's so lovely is when they see each other through the tank, they're like these two life forces that are drawn together, right? And they're sort of seeing through the life of four walls that their families have built for them. Because we know that the fish tank is a wall, because at the end of this scene, we know Claire is in the hall and Leonardo is in the bathroom as Romeo and Juliet, and this wall is in between them. So I think them being able to see through a wall is to kind of look past the family dynamics that they were born into. I think there's something to the fact too of it being a fish tank. Things are on display, right? So I think that's another way of playing how both Romeo and Juliet are very much on display. They're the hot commodities for their family, right? And they sort of need to fit that mold. But they're kind of seeing through all that by having this transparent fish tank moment. They're looking beyond that. And I just think that's beautiful. And I'm Kissing You, playing in the background by Desiree. It just gives you the feels. I feel like glitter and honey is just dripping all over my body and inside. And you just know. I would love to be a fly on the wall of how they worked that scene and how often they did, and sort of like the chemistry buildup that Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes did to get to that moment, because it's one look and it's the minute they lock eyes, you just know. I'm getting giddy talking about it. Yeah, so that's definitely my favorite scene, the fish tank scene. My favorite performance, hands down, is Harold Perrineau as Mercutio. And specifically, I want to highlight the Queen Mab speech. And so this moment, I kind of mentioned already, very Baz Luhrmann style. Literally and figuratively, everyone is coming off of a high, right, before Mercutio goes into the speech. And the environment just speaks that, right? They're in this broken down sort of stage area. Everyone is kind of doing their own thing, dressing their own way. And we have our Mercutio, who is of color and in drag, and goes into this infamous speech, and takes it on a freaking roller coaster. Like the ups and downs. I don't think the words of Queen Mab's speech have had so much weight as in that moment. Again, it goes back to, it's the physicality that Perrineau adds to sort of bring relevancy to what the words are saying to a 1996 audience. And the volume he plays with, the silliness, and then the somberness in the snap of a finger. And then again, what does it end off in? An explosion of self. And then that vibrates to literally an explosion of environment when the fireworks go off above the men in that scene. I just think it is absolutely stunning. And to this day, I know other Mercutio has done it as much for me as Perrineau has. Yeah. So that is my whole spiel on my favorite film adaptation of a play. If you haven't seen it already, which I'm sure most of you who are watching this have, I highly recommend seeing Romeo and Juliet, Romeo plus Juliet, directed by Baz Luhrmann, the 1996 adaptation of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. That is it from me. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now.